Good afternoon, everybody. If you were thinking about motion after listening to that music, you were in the right place. My name is Barry Olson. I'm Vice President of Sales here at Alps Controls, and welcome to the next installment of the Alps Solution Series, and we are focused on Motion Cloud. We're pleased to have with us today Eric Toddy, who's the Director of Sales for Motion, and the President, Kevin McManamon. And these guys are going to give us probably about 15 minutes of a good view of what Motion does and the benefits it has for the folks on the line here. And then I think the real magic starts after that with the Q&A session. You're going to see on your screens on the right-hand side an area where you can ask questions or write in a question for the guys. And when they're done presenting, as I said, it'll probably be 14 to 15 minutes. We'll go through the Q&A, and that will go as long as we have questions, up to 3 o'clock. So without further ado, Eric and Kevin, take it away.
Well, everybody, I really appreciate you joining us today. My name is Eric Toddy. I've been with Motion now so a little bit over a year. I've watched the co-founders of this company now, develop an incredible company, an incredible product over the past few years, and really excited to hop on board with these guys. We've got a very unique solution that I think will fit right in line with a number of ways to help, grow your business and enhance your customer relationships. And we kind of want to tie this into ultimately what we're doing in the field to kind of open up your mind to how you can utilize Motion. Nevertheless, Kevin, go ahead, take it away.
Hi, I'm Kevin McManamon. I'm one of the co-founders of Motion. Just a little context about my background. I've done something in controls probably since I was about 10 or 11 years old, and spent the majority of that time in building different businesses, just wondering why and being frustrated by just how complicated front ends and programming and the entire situation has been for everyone, and ended up building a company with some great partners that proves that it doesn't have to be that complicated. And we're really excited to show you what we built.
All right, so let's just for a quick introduction into the product. Motion Cloud, it provides a sleek, simple, no fluff, cloud-based controls platform that connects building system management and ultimately people together into a single interface. So our cloud, it talks to the equipment that you install, via BACnet and Modbus. And at the end of this presentation, you're going to learn why Motion Cloud it's a terrific solution to solve real world problems in the industry. It's used to enhance your overall service offering. It improves customer relationships and, gives you an opportunity to increase revenue and, increase operational efficiencies for not only your company, but for your customers as well. So what we'll do is, like I said, we kind of want to tie this into specific use cases that we've had over the years. And I'll let Kevin take over in the next slide.
All right, so super important that we tell some real world stories here. One of the projects that we were working on, which was sort of the catalyst for developing Motion, was a TV studio that we were doing a number of years ago, where right when we first started everything with Motion, and we had worked with a couple of different solutions. We had an integrator working on the project with us to bring some legacy equipment in, and ended up in a scenario where they ended up bailing on us in the middle of the job, and tried a couple of other major manufacturers' solutions, and everything was just overly complicated. It was ruining our timetable for a job that was now already significantly past the deadlines we had promised the client. And in comes Motion at the end of that. We had just gotten it ready for deployment, and ended up being able to integrate this entire site into it basically in about 2 days, deliver that to the client, totally totally restored our relationship with them. Ended up getting us their mechanical service contractor as a good friend and ally moving forward. And then ultimately ended up creating enough of a relationship with that client where we now are going to be doing the controls for their brand new facility that they're building. And so that's our first story into this, and I'll let you move that one on to the next one, Eric.
So several key takeaways here from that story. Motion Cloud's core product differentiators really made that a success story for the controls business that we run here in Cleveland. So we want this to give your company a fast solution for many problems that you may run into in the field. So our product, it enables a rapid, scalable, cost-effective method for getting building data and controls off-site, which then, can be visualized and managed via Motion Cloud. So cloud activation, device discovery, point discovery, dashboard configuration, all of that can be accomplished rapidly to deliver a ready-to-use product to your client without ever being on premise. And our pricing and functionality scales up and down based on the needs and requirements of any job size. So we always say, with Motion, no job is too big or too small for delivering cloud-based control solutions to your company and to your customers. And, Motion Cloud, it eliminates a lot of the traditional costs associated with designing and maintaining a client's network infrastructure. We do not require, costly programming or skilled labor to effectively, deploy our solutions. And in this, that really became the core of our installation business here in Cleveland. Everything that we do now revolves around how Motion fits into our jobs.
And just another example, and this was a unique situation where there was a lot of different parties involved in a set of multi-use space downtown, where there are multiple owners to several buildings, but this has a central plant that feeds all of them. And we're converting in Cleveland from electric boilers to gas, and ended up having a ton of pressure issues there that caused a number of floods in that building. This was on the mechanical contractor side, and ended up in the middle of sort of a blame game between those different owners, and ended up installing Motion here to monitor different parts of the building with leak detection, with pressure monitoring, and then ended up baking out dashboards that went at each of the security desks so that they can watch what's happening in those buildings, and then ultimately use the historical data that we created and log there to prove that this was actually not the building owner that we installed this for issue. It was actually the central plant and the operators of that were causing that problem, and ended up completely avoiding a massive insurance claim on the building, and actually ended up strengthening the relationship between those two owners, where now Motion will be going in there as well.
All right. So, as far as a few key takeaways there, Motion Cloud had enabled remote service that the client really never had before. And this ended up, over time, actually mitigating millions of dollars in flood damage and labor for floods prevented in those sites. And it led to them using Motion Cloud for other buildings in their portfolio, which really just created a very strong service relationship bond between our controls business and that customer. So as far as a few key features that really made all of this happen and will ultimately allow you to, differentiate your service offering from your competition. First and foremost, critical alarms. Our emergency push notifications, they're pushed directly to your staff and to your customers as well in real time, keeping everybody immediately informed of critical building conditions and incidents. All of your active alarm events from any amount of sites can be centralized and managed in a single view. And, we always say, what good is an alarm if nobody responds in a timely manner? Motion Cloud actually timestamps when an alarm event was triggered, when an alarm event was acknowledged and when an alarm event was cleared, ultimately holding individuals, accountable to effectively respond to alarm conditions. And Motion also offers 24/7 real-time monitoring of all of your data, in a clean, visualized way. So all the data is captured in real time and can be visualized from anywhere. Without ever, being on site, you can analyze for a customer historical data to ensure equipment is running effectively and efficiently. You can, proactively identify potential system issues, help guide your customers towards operational parameters needed to reduce energy use, and the list goes on. And here's a big one. Not only can we monitor from anywhere, but Motion Cloud gives you the ability to control systems from anywhere as well. And this was actually a crucial feature that helped, during some of our emergency situations that we came into with our customers that needed immediate action. All right, but if you think about it in a way with how your customers will also use this same platform, you can create dashboards for your customers that allow them, to only control smaller devices such as lighting controls and thermostats, giving them cloud-based control over those devices, all while you have access to and you can manage their higher value critical HVAC assets. So do exactly what we did and leverage Motion Cloud to increase service revenue and grow your business. That's kind of the goal here. And to kind of help, paint the picture as far as preventive maintenance contracts go and what you offer your customers now, this is kind of just a traditional example of a preventive maintenance agreement. Your company comes out several times a year, changes filters, they conduct their routine inspections, but ultimately, what are you doing here to impress the client and retain this client in the future? This is something that a lot of your competition can also provide. If you look at a preventative maintenance contract here that's powered by Motion, you now have the ability to literally add a line item that says, 24/7 monitoring and remote control of systems. Use Motion Cloud and it's the solutions that we enable to market additional service offerings like leak detection, cloud-based thermostat control for your customer facility teams, energy visualization, and so on. And, here's the big part. All for a price that is a fraction of the revenue that you will end up gaining from these agreements. So with your enhanced service value offering, you're going to use this to win and renew more service contracts. You become more competitive in the marketplace. You use this to win higher value service contracts. And by being connected with your customers and constantly engage with them all from a single platform, use Motion to renew these agreements and establish long-term relationships with your customers. And last but not least, by being able to remotely control systems and identify issues for your customer without ever being on site, we're confident that you're going to be able to reduce and optimize truck rolls and kind of eliminate the amount of truck rolls that you are having to take for service calls. And you know exactly the type of equipment that you're going to need before arriving on site. So it kind of makes your service calls a lot more efficient.
All right. So one of the best examples of how this actually grew our business is this ended up gaining us several historic landmark buildings in downtown Cleveland. This particular client is also the owner of the building that we were dealing with a multi-ownership scenario. When they purchased this building, they wanted to integrate Motion into this as well. But one of those questions they had was, how can we make it so that the tenants also have access to the HVAC that's in their spaces, whether that be commercial or residential? And we had watched them go through several different presentations and different iterations of thought and how they're going to integrate, smart thermostats and whatnot into the building, and ended up actually just ordering all the equipment with BACnet on board, and then created that tenant interface for them. There are several different types of dashboards based on what the specific job that person is going to be utilizing Motion for, what their responsibilities are. And then, as well, putting together a massive dashboard for that client now that exists in their corporate office, which shows them the status of all the different buildings. So this was the first very large integration that we did here. It went so smoothly, and if we could show you the numbers of what that would have cost to do, to have a Tritium solution there rather than just using what we did with Motion Cloud. It was just an absolute fraction of the cost to go and integrate this, deliver it to the client. And we were also able to deliver it as systems were brought online in the building, which was a big advantage to them because they needed to maintain those tenant spaces as they were doing the rehab of this building. So I think the next step here, Eric and Alan, is that we actually demo some of that. And I'll let you take that one, Eric.
Sure. And, to Kevin's point, you got all these different users on the customer side that are really connected to you through a single ownership account now. You're tying a digital knot between you and your customers and actually delivering something that they can use for their own use. And I'll keep this quick, but just wanted to kind of paint the picture of the different types of end users that would fall kind of within this same account. Essentially, we're giving your company the tools to customize dashboards for all different types of end users within your customer's organization. So whether you're a security guard sitting at a front desk of a single building, or a regional manager responsible for 20 plus properties, or an individual tenant, there's a dashboard that you will give them that can be customized for their needs, all while, once again, you are focused on servicing and managing their higher value assets from that account. I'll keep this one quick as well, but this simply just showing you solutions from your company's side versus your customer's side. Really forming and tying that digital knot to your customer. And the main goal of this, as we go into our next slide here, is to tie the digital knot and, help your customer, or make sure that your customers are coming back for more. Once they are introduced to our technology, they've never seen this before. They're gonna love what you provide them. Being able to enhance your service value in kind of an innovative and unique way will ultimately drive recurring revenue for you in the future. And with that said, let's go directly into the demo. And we want to show you what we're doing right now at that last client site.
All right, so yeah, this references that last story that we were talking about and gives you sort of a view into all the different spaces that exist within that building and the different types of interfaces. Some of these are, just as an example, a commercial office floor where that's a particular tenant space where they have access to the existing HVAC system that was in the building that we retrofitted. And then we'll move on to see what we got here. So this is an example then of taking one of those tenant spaces, whether that be residential or commercial, and then reducing all of the technical points that you had down to a simple interface that anybody can use, even if they've had zero experience with controls before. It operates just as if they had put like a Nest or an Ecobee or something like that inside their tenant space. Except we can pull all of the technical points for the maintenance staff there so they can see what's going on with the units, while the tenant only gets the most critical points that they need to operate. Just as an example of what that looks like, this is a technical dashboard that shows all of the different tenant spaces on a residential floor and the heat pumps that are in it. And then just to reference back from all these technical points, we've stripped that down to just what that tenant needs to go and operate. Now, this building also ended up with a lot of different types of users that need to see different things. And this was as a result of working with that same client, an additional investment from the insurance company to install leak detection on site. So the security guards can just see a leak detection panel and they know right where they need to go to figure out what's going on. Unfortunately, in commercial construction, floods happen. We all know that. Seems like Cleveland is especially cursed with that scenario. And then let's see. So if you were, and then we'll also just give you a demo of if you were the property manager there, the ability to see all the different units in here, configure users, configure the staff that has access to that. And then just as an example, which we already showed, we can hop in here and just look at one of those tenant spaces, see what's going on, help those users to be able to access this easily. And with that, I guess we'll take it away to the Q&A.
Okay, here's our first one. We have a question that says, what does point and device discovery look like? How do you build out a dashboard?
So if we want to, actually, I can reshare here and we'll just do a point discovery real quick. So we will go, I'll actually do it from that building that we were just looking at. Once that hub is installed on site there, that's sitting on the same network as the controls there. And we would simply just go into add devices, choose device discovery, and we'll pick, so we'll probably pick, we'll pick the lab here. Actually, yeah, we'll do the building that had the big floods. Let's do that. So we'll just click start discovery. This is sitting on a network that has multiple buildings on it. And we'll also have multiple hubs. And we'll just, I believe actually this device is one of the elevator machine room cooling devices there. So we're going to click add device to this. We're going to give it a friendly name. And once we've added that device, we can simply hop out of here, go to our devices. It'll be at the top of that list, and we're going to discover the points from it. And we'll just go ahead and do that. And we'll just go and we'll just pick one of these inputs, which is actually a fault point. And we're just going to go in here and say, this is this elevator machine room. And we'll call it a system fault. We're just doing read only on this. We can affect whatever BACnet discovery brings in as the particular states. We could make that actually just say fault or normal. If we wanted to alert on that to let people in, people who have the app or people who have the dashboards up know what's going on there. We could just say that when this value is in fault, we want to send this alert out, and we can actually give them instructions in the tile that would say, check this elevator machine room immediately.
Just wanted to add into, we're making this tile that will then be linked to a Motion app or a Motion dashboard. All a tile is your visual representation of a single point on a system that comes with a number of software features. So we're basically customizing this tile here and standardizing a lot of the terminology that the end user is then going to see to simplify, the most critical points that they need to look at on a dashboard for whatever their assignments are.
And so that being said, we may want multiple people to see this for different reasons. So once we've clicked in that we want to, link one of these apps, let's say that we want it in the terminal tower main dashboard, but we also want that to exist in an alerts dashboard. Sorry, I had it there for a second. That sits at both of those security desks. So all we have to do now is just save that. Now this tile exists in both of those areas. So if we went back to our apps and said we want to look in terminal tower, that point is immediately available here. We can go in the back end and then move that into different groups in here. But that's immediately gathering historical data. It's immediately watching for those alerts, and it's available across everyone's devices immediately.
I did also want to make clear that everything that you see on the web browser app is also available in a fully featured mobile app.
Let's see. The next one says, please explain how your pricing model works.
Okay, so this is coming directly from the Alps Controls website. All right. And so there are 3 line items that will make up our pricing model. Okay, you've got a Motion Hub, but our Motion Hub is the device that sits on premise. It is the middleman between, the equipment that you install and service in our cloud. It's a one-time cost for the Motion Hub. Okay. As soon as you activate a cloud subscription, you're going to be paying annually for that annual Motion Cloud subscription. Okay. So it's an annual cost. And then the variable cost, and this will kind of depend on how many points that you need on our dashboard. We sell these Motion tiles in packages. Okay, you get 100 tiles per Motion pack. That is also an annual cost. Now, the cool thing about that is you can basically use those Motion tiles across any amount of sites that have Motion hubs. Okay, so, for example, if you had 10 sites and you needed, 10 tiles for each site, you would just simply buy 1 Motion tile pack. By all means, you're probably going to have a lot more Motion tiles per site. But, to explain that scenario, these can be used across sites, and, you're buying these in packs of 100. Does that make sense? So we try to keep this as simple as possible for the customer, much more affordable than alternatives that are out there right now, and really just gives you a quick way and an affordable way to get critical data that you need from customer sites, whether it's for servicing, whether it's for providing this to your customer, but delivering a dashboard that's sleek, easy to use, and is affordable in a recurring model.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions submitted to us by a gentleman named Joe Baucom. His first one is, can you elaborate on what the hub is? Does the device support BACnet MSTP?
So I'll take that one. So it supports MSTP if it's done through a router, and traditionally, actually, we've been as we're spooling this up, just using field servers from Alps. In the example of 55, that high-rise building that we just showed, there's actually a separate MSTP network on each floor that's then built into the house network, where we then have the hub sitting on that same network, and have virtually no issues with that at all. So not MSTP directly to the hub, but certainly through routers or a Jace.
Okay, Joe has two more questions so far. He wants to know, does the UI support thermographic floor plans? And he's also asking, is it possible to batch or discover similar devices and points?
So that is that's on the features. We just finished the ability to clone similar devices so that you can build one out basically as a template, and then just basically copy and paste those into an area. And that, there's upwards of 270 units in this apartment. And I think I probably built out 3 of those before Matt built that feature out for us. And that's rapidly increased our time to go and deploy. As far as thermographics are concerned, we haven't built a whole lot of graphic stuff out yet. There's some stuff on the roadmap for that. But in the in the process of building this out, there was, this was a layer on top, like simplified solution to start with. We've been getting more requests for that. But one of the primary complaints we got from a lot of our clients was essentially they end up using those graphics just to drill down to a single point, and they wanted to just have those points displayed up front on a dashboard. So not off the table in development wise, just focused on making sure things like network connection security and simplified user interfaces were our primary goal in these first iterations of the product.
We have a gentleman named Philip May who would like to know if it's possible to build H diagrams.
That's a really good one. Let's definitely follow up on that and have a conversation, and we'll see if we can't put that on the roadmap. I would say, one of the important parts about having a small software house is that, everything we did was built on customer feedback. And if that's a major need, and that's going to help out your business, we like to have an open dialogue with everybody we're working with all of our clients, and basically take each one of those suggestions and put that onto the roadmap, and then communicate back and forth as we roll those specific features out. The most important part about a SaaS model company is that we constantly reinvest in what our clients need. So, that we're always going to be building new features, new drivers for things, new abilities to control different devices, different API models, and what have you. And we do that based on demand from customers.
Ivan Escobedo would like to know, do you have distribution in Mexico? Does it have a data logger? And if so, how much time does that save, or how much data does it save?
So currently you can get, depending on how many points you've got on it, like the local devices can store 6 months to a year of data. So yes, we can drop ship to Mexico. I believe that we talked about this and we set up everything with Alps, and that we're basically set up for international distribution if we need to, or if there's a desire for it. But importantly, every single tile in the entire system is a historical point, and we don't charge additional fees for historical points. So once that tile is created, that is immediately logging data, and you can go back through any one of those points and look at the history.
Just to elaborate on that, we will guarantee 6 months of data, but if we can store more on the device, then we do store more.
How do you support partners in training, and who will this be coming from?
So Eric has tirelessly created a really phenomenal knowledge base for just about everything you can do in Motion, and he's continually updating that. But just from a personal standpoint, we will all be there to support you through whatever you need, training wise and setup wise, or if there are technical questions. At the end of this, we'll include our personal cell phone numbers for that as well. Any of us are available anytime, and we'll do whatever we can to help you out there. Or if there's a particular feature request, whatever conversation we need to have to go and support you. I come from this industry, and I've been frustrated with support in the past, and we do our best to provide the best experience that we possibly can as a team.
Yeah, and just to elaborate on that too, with past partners that we've worked with, we will go through a live training session with you, and we're always here to assist with certain questions that you may have. But I think the main goal when onboarding a partner is to really get you using the platform and learning how to build out a dashboard. And once you start doing so, you'll get a hang of it pretty quickly. But that initial training program that we do with our partners, it goes a long way, and we're always here to continue to support that after that as well.
We have just a couple more questions in the queue here. We have someone who wants to know, should our customers be concerned about security threats? How do we make sure our customers are safe using this cloud-based product?
Matt, you may be the best person to answer that one.
Yeah, I'll take that one. So I didn't introduce myself earlier, but I am our CTO. My name is Matt Toddy. Yes, I'm related to Eric. We are brothers. But I can definitely speak on the security front. So
Security is something that we think about first. Security is our absolute first concern. Whereas if you look at a lot of the competitors, the way that things have been brought to market otherwise are sort of like we've had this product out for a while and we're now going to add the internet to it, right? We're going to add the cloud to it. Whereas for us, it was cloud first, security first. One prime example is we do not have you expose any of your network out to the public internet. In fact, we explicitly recommend against it. That is not something that, in the year 2023, any hardware provider should ever have to ask somebody to do. So keep your network closed. Absolutely. The device it's designed to talk to our cloud over standard ports as soon as you plug it in. And you're not having to expose anything on your network as a result. Now, as far as like ongoing security updates, what we're doing behind the scenes, and it's something that we don't, we hope we don't just hope, but we ensure that our customers never feel it. We are constantly pushing out security updates. So every time you read in the news, if you're reading any of the tech blogs out there that are saying, brand new vulnerability has been exposed, it's, new 0-day vulnerability. What we're doing on our end is we are patching all of our software and we are rolling it out. And the nice thing about the way we set it up is it's seamless. When that rollout happens, there's no interruption to what's happening on the other end. Really, nobody should ever notice it at all because things just continue to function. But, that's kind of the beauty of relying on a company that is so focused on the cloud first is we are really, really well in tune what's happening out in the market as far as vulnerabilities go. And we're jumping on them right away. As soon as something comes out, we're doing patches, we're sending it out. You don't have to initiate it. There's nothing that you or the customer has to do. In fact, we wouldn't have it any other way, especially because these devices are connecting to our cloud, and it wouldn't make sense to leave anything out there exposed, especially because they are connected to us 24/7. But as far as, what standards we're using all the most modern, it's all the most modern versions of the programming languages that we use. We keep those up to date. We recompile our code whenever a new version comes out and we send those updates out accordingly. As far as the details go, if anyone wants to see sort of like a flow chart, a diagram of the flow of the data, what you're able to do, what you shouldn't be able to do. For example, there's no talking directly to our hub on site. If you try, it will block you. Things like that. We have that all in a security white paper. We can send that out. And as always, if there are any questions, any clarifications needed on that security white paper, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk through it with you.
Okay, we have a question here from Philip May, who would like to know, can data logged be exported? And if so, can it be scheduled or automated?
So as far as, the data logging, we have everything available through our RESTful API. So like I mentioned before, we guarantee at least 6 months worth of data storage for each of our tiles. Everything that we do in our web platform and our mobile app is really, we're just consuming our RESTful API with the web platform and with the mobile app. So we publish all of our APIs using open API format. You'll be able to go and pull as much data as you want, whenever you want. So in terms of export, we don't actively push out the data, but the data is always there for you to pull programmatically. Again, it's all RESTful standards. It's incredibly well documented. You should have no trouble getting that data in any format that you need it.
Okay, looks like we might just have one more question here. What product and protocol improvements to the platform do you continue to work on?
You want to take part of that one, Matt, too, or are we all group responding?
Well, I'm thinking about the question. So because that can actually span multiple things, right? Like when we talk about security, we talk about staying on top of our the programming languages, things like that. But those are the things that are kind of invisible. We don't want you to have to think about, what is the coding language that we're using. So I think you're probably more getting in that question to like protocols, things that we're talking to. And Kevin might be better to talk about like what are our highest priority items at this point, even though, yes, it'll be my department that ends up going and coding that out. usually a lot of that inspiration comes from Kev. So I'll pass it to you, Kev.
Yeah, so this is something that the team is always actively working on together, and sort of prioritizing that based on demand from customers. Ultimately, the goal is for us to create a driver or a standard for each one of the protocols that we'll eventually be able to bring in here. And as a sidebar, that also includes supervisory logic for that as well. So while right now in complex situations or technical situations, we typically end up using a JACE or protocol converters just to get us to BACnet. We started with BACnet and Modbus because of the two most widely used protocols, but ultimately the goal here is to continue reinvesting in creating the ability for us to use everyone's protocols. Now, some of those are actually like strictly just on a delay because you're waiting for the approval process from those large manufacturers. And, while that started, it takes 2 to 3 years to get there. So we're just starting to get to those milestones now. But ultimately the answer is that we want to have every protocol we possibly can in there. So we'll continue investing in that, continue developing them. And then release those out, and that's part of this package. So we're not going to release one of them and then suddenly tell you got to pay $1 million more for this one driver if you wanted it. So sort of the advantage to a SaaS model as well is the ability to continue adding features and continue adding drivers and have that be part of that package that you're paying for yearly anyways.
Looks like that's all the questions that have been submitted so far. I just want to let everybody watching know that the question interface, whoops, hold on, Philip May just slipped one in there at the wire. Good job, Philip. He wants to know, in the event of an internet or provider outage, does the system support any local access?
Matt, you want to take that one?
So we've gotten this question a number of times, and we had one client who originally asked us for it, and then they ended up unasking us for it. I mean, we're at a point where it became not a priority to them anymore because they have redundant internet connections. Now, one thing we're working on as a team is actually cellular backup. This is something we want to offer as a part of our package. That would be something that obviously kicks in if you don't have the access through the internet. But otherwise, and this is going back to the security discussion right now, the way we have things set up is our hub, when you plug it in, it's designed to not be talked to. Too many of the vulnerabilities that we've seen, like through JP Morgan Chase, Target, lots of big names, it all started with penetration into that local hardware. So, we made a decision sort of from the beginning that we weren't going to open it up locally, but that we would support customers and we would eventually add a cellular backup option to ensure that keeps working. So today, no, but as Kevin mentioned before, this is the sort of thing where, like, if we end up getting a lot of demand for an on-prem type solution, then that might be something that we do revisit. Again, we're going to be thinking about security of the whole ecosystem. That introduces a vulnerability. So perhaps if we offer something that's on-prem, we might have to consider, is it going to have all of the same cloud functionality? Because it really is one giant network of devices at the end of the day, all coming up through the cloud. So that's something, if it's really important, let's talk. I want to hear all about it. We've gotten the question before, and then clients have seen, like, oh, this is incredibly reliable. It's incredibly fast. And that became not a priority anymore. But, let's have the talk.
Well, that is all the questions that I have in the queue right now, unless someone else makes a liar out of me in the next 10 seconds. I just want to let everybody know that the question queue will stay open for about 25 more minutes. And so if you didn't get your question in, or if we close out this session and the perfect question occurs to you, please submit it, and I will make sure that it gets to Eric and Kevin and Matt and Barry, and we will get you an answer as soon as we possibly can.
We just want to throw out there that, this is an industry that we've all lived for quite some time. We really look forward to your feedback, and please don't hesitate to reach out, because this is entirely built on customer feedback. It's entirely built on the demand of our clients. So we're available anytime to communicate about it.
And Eric, I think you said something about if people wanted to try this out. You mentioned that before. Do you want to go into a little more detail on that?
Sure. So, if there's a customer that you want to try this out with, you can purchase a Motion Hub from Alps directly from their site. And we're offering a 45-day return policy on the hardware. And within that 45-day time frame, you get all the access to unlimited software subscriptions and Motion tile packs. So we'll help you get up and running on kind of building that dashboard for a customer for your own internal use. So we want to encourage people to, once you get Motion in your hands and use us to help you identify, hey, here's a problem that I have. I need immediate access and cloud access to, monitoring and control capabilities and alarms for my customer. Let's, kind of facilitate how we can get this up and running so we can see how we can use it. So that 45-day time frame gets you, total access to the overall platform itself. And we're here to help you out during that time as well.
Eric, thank you. Thanks for going into that. Thank you for all our listeners out there and spending the time with us. Eric, Kevin, Matt, thank you so much. If you guys have additional questions, please bring them to Alps, or we will send out an email with the cell phones and email addresses for Eric and Kevin, and Matt, maybe you too. But anyways, thanks and enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate all your time.
Barry, Alan, thank you very much. Appreciate all of your time.
You got it.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.
Appreciate this.